I mean, do you foresee a realistic future where most companies are significantly more than right now are getting on the sustainable bandwagon? Is that the way you see things heading?
I wish I could say yes. I think that there'll always be a customer that really all they care about is the bottom line, is buying a product that is budget friendly, and without getting too into the nitty gritty of politics or economies and stuff. There's a lot of poverty, and not everybody has the way the world is right now. You have to have a decent amount of expendable income to be able to monetarily care about the environment. I hate to be a pessimist, but I don't think it'll ever be the majority of customers that care about this stuff. I think it'll always be a growing niche.
Stark realities, tempering expectations. Should optimism and expectance of a totally sustainable future in fashion and luxury come with an asterisk? One that denotes we may never get there, in part because enough minds just may never change. This and more on the last planned installment for now in our mini-series, Sustainable Fashion, What You Need to Know. You're listening to the Diamond Disruptor podcast.
The people that haven't heard about lab-grown diamonds or really don't know what they are really stuck in an old mindset.
And you know what? This is one of those product categories where monthly the numbers are changing.
Laboratory-grown diamond or a created diamond is chemically, physically, optically, atomically the same as a diamond mined from the earth.
I'm Ryan Light. I'm the CEO of Pistol Lake.
Well, hello, Ryan. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
I know it's we're outside right now, avoiding, there's not a lot of people to avoid necessarily, but trying to play it safe. And how has COVID lockdown been for you guys? Like, can you walk me through a typical day of how things have changed?
Yeah. I mean, it's been a wild ride, and it's changed a lot from when, this whole thing first started in March to even now. Like, when everything, locked down in March and the governor and the mayor were closed everything, we didn't know whether we were going to be able to stay in business. We didn't know whether we were going to be able to continue shipping. So we did something kind of unusual, and we asked our customers, like, hey guys, if you've ever kind of had your eye on something in the Pistol Lake shop, now would be a really rad time to kind of support us. And we gave an optional sale because, we didn't know whether we would be manufacturing. We didn't know if we could ship. We did a month's worth of sales in a weekend. And our customers really stepped up for us. So that kind of gave us some runway in case everything got shut down.
Hello, and welcome back to the Diamond Disruptor podcast. Thanks for joining us. That's Ryan Light you just heard. He's the CEO of Pistol Lake Sustainable Menswear based out of Venice, California, and he's who you heard in the clip at the top of the show. Ryan and I recently sat down for a socially distanced chat outside Phase 2, my co-working space in Los Angeles, California, where I produce this show. I think my talk with Ryan here is really the perfect last episode of our mini-series on sustainable fashion. Last for now. There might be more down the line, as we believe this to be an important continuing look at sustainable fashion. And we bring you this talk with Ryan as the world has wrapped up Fashion Week and month events for February, during a time, of course, when events of all kinds are forced into socially distanced and or virtual compromised versions of their usual iterations due to the continuing lockdowns around the world. As I've pointed out in the previous 2 episodes of this series, this is a time when we've been forced to pause our normal commuting, consuming, and polluting activities to a degree and really examine what we're doing to the planet. I'm going to tell you right now in brief of who Pistol Lake Sustainable Menswear are, just to give Ryan and the brand a proper introduction, because we're going to do something a little different with this episode. I mentioned that I think this is the perfect episode to end on for now, and here's the reason. Ryan Light, I feel I can say from talking to so many people now in sustainable fashion for research on the series, he's perhaps the most brutally honest and realistic person I've spoken to on the topic of sustainable fashion and what the future may hold for it. I'm going to interject only minimally with further narration, as I feel this talk Ryan and I had really guides itself well. I think if you're someone who is listening with any curiosity at all and support for sustainable interests for our planet, you'll want to hear nearly all of what Ryan has to say. I feel it's important. So before we dive back in, here's some brief background on Pistol Lake Sustainable Menswear. Ryan Light is CEO and William Selinsky is the founder and VP of product. And here's some key info taken almost verbatim from the well-written About Us section of their site at pistollake.com. That's PISTOLLAKE.com. Pistol Lake, all one word. Check them out. They ship worldwide. Pistol Lake started as a group of friends in Venice, California, who wanted to bring back the level of craftsmanship that for so long defined American manufacturing. We strive for perfection in everything we make. We started with organic cotton, nailed the cut and fit, but we wanted to make more. We spent 2 years and hundreds of iterations to come up with the perfect performance fabric, made from recycled water bottles and eucalyptus. And we'll cover all that and more in our talk here, touching on topics like maintaining fan support for a small, sustainable brand by communicating with your customers on platforms like Kickstarter and Reddit. We touch on greenwashing, and as you heard in that clip at the top of the show, perhaps some of the most honest assessment in our industry of what we might realistically expect and our hopes for the greater masses to adopt a sustainable mindset.
Did you see it coming? I mean, it's like, what was do you even recall? It's hard to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like in the month before they really kind of officially locked things down, like there were the warning signs. Like, did you guys have to do anything last minute to kind of?
I mean, we maybe overestimated, the effectiveness of local and federal government. We thought that, the lockdowns would be short, and, we definitely didn't see this coming, that life is still like this.
But you guys do all your manufacturing in-house, right? You guys are all in one facility.
Yeah, everything's done down in Garden Grove. And so, whatever California says is what we have to follow. Normally we have 24 sewers at the factory. And one of the first things we did, first of all, the factory got shut down. Every factory did. And so we kind of scrambled because we saw that, there was all these shortages in PPE. And, we have a factory where we have skilled labor that could help with that. And so that actually allowed us to keep the factory open because we were making PPE. And normally we have 24 people working at the factory, and we cut that down to 6 so that we could have adequate distance between them. We brought in all the hand sanitizer. We have the place sanitized once a week now. So, there was some added expense and things are going a little bit slower, but we were able to stay open. Other than those first 2 days, we've been able to stay open and manufacturing this whole time, which has been kind of a pleasant surprise.
Well, there was a recent New York Times article I read, which in part profiled the sustainable loungewear brand. And one thing it touched on was the guy it talked about was in, bigger name fashion, I think, before in traditional brick and mortar retail. And they were saying that lockdown seemed to help his new company's sales, which are all online, since people were forced into working from home. I mean, we were already seeing the trend. We were already seeing the trends before moving into loungewear. Did you guys did you look at lockdown and go, well, I'm glad we were doing loungewear already? Like, did you see like a spike in sales too from people having to stay home and whatnot? Or
yeah, absolutely. This is. I mean, you hate to be the company that's benefiting when so many people are having a rough time. Companies are going under and stuff. But this has kind of been a perfect storm to benefit a company like ours. And, one of the reasons you touched on, is kind of we make really comfortable clothes that feel like PJs but look good on a Zoom call.
Right.
Everything that we make is kind of made with comfort in mind. And so working from home is just kind of perfect for our gear. And then, we we manufacture and source everything in the U.S., and a lot of folks that didn't used to care about, supply chain or where things came from, suddenly were, thinking about, is this manufactured in China? Because China has kind of been cast as the boogeyman for right or wrong in this whole thing. So a lot of new customers care more about the Made in America thing and supporting American businesses and making sure that they stay open and all this. Then, a lot of companies, brick and mortars, have been forced to close. People don't feel comfortable going out into the world and buying things and trying things on. So that's brought in a whole new level of e-commerce customer to us that, maybe previously didn't feel comfortable buying clothes without trying them on first.
What do you think the challenges are like? Do you think it's impossible to hold, right now anyway, to hold other countries to the same sort of environmentally responsible standards, and do you think that'll change in the future?
I don't think anything's impossible, but it's definitely tough. The company has always kind of believed that, U.S. manufacturing has, that so much manufacturing has gone overseas is a bummer. And we understand it. It's more expensive to manufacture here. Our stuff costs more than something you might grab at Target or a Walmart that's made in a country where they, pay somebody $13 a month. But we have a set of customers that appreciate that and are okay with spending more for having, an ethical place for people to work where, all of our people who work in our factory get paid more than minimum wage. They all have healthcare, which is kind of unheard of in apparel. And, it does cause us to have to charge more for our stuff. But, it seems to be that the world is moving in a direction where they care less about just what something costs and kind of more about what it stands for. And, at any point in time, I can drop into our factory, I can drop into our fabric partner and make sure that they're doing what they say they're supposed to be doing. And, that would be a little bit trickier if there was a 16-hour flight involved in that.
Yeah. And walk me through, in particular, you guys tout Uday, am I saying that right?
You are.
EUDAE as a method of manufacturing clothes, and I understand that involves making your clothes from recycled water bottles and eucalyptus. So is that how you guys make everything now? And if not, either way, can you just walk me through the steps you guys take to ensure your stuff's sustainable?
Yeah. So Uday is a proprietary fabric that we invented in 2016, and about 2/3 of our sales are things made out of Uday. We also sell cotton, organic French terry, and some other stuff like that. But Uday is kind of what I'm excited about, and it's kind of our bread and butter product. And essentially, without getting too nerdy on you, basically we buy big vacuum sealed bags of chipped water bottles. Like you have a water bottle sitting right in here in front of you.
I'll give it to you if I finish the water. You guys can.
We'll bring you back a shirt in a little bit. So essentially, we buy just.
And I refill them just to let everyone know. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we buy A-graded. So water bottles get all different grades. So they, some of them get really banged up. They're in the back of somebody's truck for a while, or, they were at a festival and they're all dirty and gross. The ones that are the easiest to work with later on are the A grades. And so essentially what they do is they take the cap off, they take the little ring off, they take all of the labels off, and then they throw it into what looks like a big wood chipper, if you're a Fargo fan. And, then they turn those into tiny little pellets, which later get melted down. And, tons of clothing is already made out of polyester, and typically it's made out of virgin polyester. This is just a different way to get that polyester, and it's by, we buy these water bottles instead of virgin polyester to try and divert some of these water bottles from ending up in a landfill or in a waterway or, in the ocean. And so then we mix it with a
So you guys literally get water bottles in one piece?
No,
or
we
do they
buy
come
them.
to you?
They're already chipped.
Okay.
So they're
in, you said, yeah.
Yeah, they're in big Ziploc bags basically that are vacuum sealed. And then we take those to our fabric manufacturer and they mix it with the Tencel, which is made with eucalyptus pulp. And then they mix it with a little bit of spandex, and that kind of gives the shirts a little bit of stretch. And the result from it is a shirt that kind of has all the bells and whistles of like a Nike dry fit. It wicks sweat. It doesn't stink because the the eucalyptus has natural antimicrobial properties, and then, it's comfortable and soft, but it feels, like a t-shirt that you bought at a thrift store and washed 100 times. And instead of looking like a gym shirt, it just looks like regular clothes. So it's given us the ability to kind of, give technical aspects and kind of supercharge underwear, t-shirts, joggers, all that stuff for guys to not have to worry about, what is their day going to throw at them? Like their clothes are ready for a hike or a happy hour.
I saw a little talk of yours online, and I thought it was interesting that you often launch new projects on Kickstarter. So I want to know more about that. That seems pretty unique to me. What are the risk rewards for that? And how did you think to go about things that way?
We'll do our more ambitious projects on Kickstarter. Like a big part of our ethos is to, cut waste any way that we can, both financial and environmental. And, we're such a small company that if we were to, go out and spend, $100,000 or $50,000 developing a product that nobody wanted, that could be ruinous for us, particularly these days. So where Kickstarter came in is, we already have our fan base, and we'll occasionally do a pre-sale if there's a new color or a slight design change to something to make sure that there's demand there before we go and sink a bunch of resources into something. And but if something like the shorts that I'm wearing right now are all around shorts. They're the most recent Kickstarter thing that we did. We had never made them before. It was a new pattern, a new fabric. We weren't sure if there was demand there for it. And, there's a significant R&D cost that goes into making a new product as ambitious as a pair of shorts of this level. And so we took it to Kickstarter first, and it kind of builds some hype, and, we can tell whether our customers want it or not. And it gets us some new user acquisition. Some people just love to go on Kickstarter and see what the new stuff is. And so the idea behind it is, just to minimize any kind of waste and mitigate risk. Because if we didn't sell these things and I put out $50,000 to develop a new product, I might be looking for a new job. Yeah. And so could all of my team members.
And then will they get the shorts in that instance, before anyone else? And
exactly,
it kind of works as a feedback thing to you.
And they get them for a better price than once they actually get, we want to support those guys for supporting us, because they helped us out early on. And it kind of turns into a whole, you said it perfectly. It turns into a whole feedback loop. We have our own subreddit, that's really active. It has about 5,000 members. And so before we made the shorts, I went on Reddit and was like, hey, we're thinking about making these shorts. Here's what they would look like. We had a crude drawing of them, and compared them to, a couple of other shorts that were out in the market. Is this something you guys would want? We got some good feedback there. We put out the Kickstarter. It met its goal in under an hour. So that we had some really good feedback there that we were on the right track there. And once we got it out into, to the backers and then to regular folks, they gave us a bunch of feedback both on email and on Reddit, and we just launched our V2 of the all-around shorts, I think 2 weeks ago. So we're constantly trying to iterate and make the best product that we possibly can, and our customers are really helpful in that. And Kickstarter is a great tool for us to make sure that we don't spend money on the wrong things.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, I think it's a really cool approach. Well, let's make sure we even just get in your guys' basic bio too. So you have a co-founder that grew up in Maine, right? Mm-hmm. And where are you from originally?
I'm from Escondido/Texas.
Okay. So you got, I'm assuming both of you had inspirations in your early lives of being into nature. And what led you to, are there specific memories you have as a child, or when did the seed start to sort of grow in your head that you wanted to not only start a clothing brand, but go totally sustainable with it?
Yeah, that's credit is all there to William Selinsky, our founder, who's now our VP of product. And he grew up in rural Maine, and Pistol Lake is the name of the lake that he went to all the time to.
Which sounds like it should be in Texas.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah,
yeah. He would go there to camp and fish and hike with his family, and that was kind of the place where he always felt the most comfortable in the outdoors. And so he's a big workout guy. He's in great shape. He's always outdoors. He's always hiking and camping. And so he didn't see a product in the market that was exactly what he wanted. And his family, they made shoes all throughout his childhood. Maine used to be and still is to a lesser extent like a manufacturing hub for high quality shoes. So it was William's vision to build the product here in the U.S., make it out of sustainable materials, and make something that you could feel as comfortable in the gym as or an office or in nature. And he just didn't see another company making that.
And you guys are all men's, right?
Yeah, we're all men's.
Yeah, because I think a lot of them target women specifically or have some men's, but that seems unique too, maybe. Yeah.
One of our Kickstarters, before my time at the company, we did make some women's clothes. And it became clear pretty quickly that we should stick to what we know. We got some feedback, from some women that had, it felt like a man had designed the product, and you're right, a man designed that product.
Right.
So we're sticking to the men's stuff because it's what we know, and we would be a little bit different company, and we would have to have more resources, both from a personnel and monetary perspective. To make a women's line as well. So maybe. Well,
and with all credit to women, obviously, I would peg girls as being the most and a really immediately receptive demographic to sustainable change and everything. Like who do you think your customer base is? If you had to sort of sum them up, like have you perceived any reluctance to adopt sustainable clothing? Do you guys get any kind of?
We really haven't had any reluctance about the sustainable stuff. But we have noticed, some people care, some people don't. And people buy us for a whole bunch of different reasons. And sometimes they're not the reasons that we set out for. And sometimes they're not even reasons that we knew or thought about. And one interesting kind of story there is none of us at the company are vegan. But unbeknownst to us, we've become really popular in kind of vegan circles because our midweight Uday fabric is a really good vegan alternative to merino wool. Merino wool is a great product, but obviously wool comes from sheep. So if you don't want to have any kind of animal products on your body, you need an alternative to that. So our midweight Uday does, almost all of the things that a merino wool does, but doesn't involve animals in any way, so anyone can wear it.
Oh, great!
But to kind of expand on your initial question, it's people buy our stuff for a whole bunch of different reasons. Sustainability is one of them, kind of for kind of one of our personas or one of our type of customers. Some people buy us because they like the made in USA. Some people are kind of appealed, the appeal is, designed in Los Angeles. And the made in USA guys and the designed in Los Angeles guys might not have the best time having a beer together, but they both find some kind of common ground in our product. And the sustainable stuff seems to be more of a talking point or something to push somebody over the edge to make a purchase over just, a t-shirt that they might find at a department store, versus the only thing that people are looking for whenever they come for our products.
So from the research I've kind of started to do on things like that, I've seen that companies, I just wanted to talk to you about like greenwashing and dead stock. So, maybe starting with dead stock, my understanding is that some companies will tout their use of dead stock in a way that's kind of misleading as to how sustainable they actually are.
Yeah, it's tricky. Greenwashing is definitely, rampant. And I try to find a positive in just about anything I can. Basically, it just means that a company is either, making something up about their product or, offering or fabric in our case, being sustainable or environmentally friendly, whenever it either isn't, or they're overstating it, or they're kind of, playing the shell game and kind of like shuffling words around to make the customer confused into thinking that they're doing something responsible for the planet or, something good, whenever really it's just kind of like some slick marketing. That's my understanding of it.
Yeah. Well, so like when you guys start your operation, is there any sort of like, is there a governing body that you have to prove that you're being sustainable to make? I mean, I know the FTC is obviously involved, but how does that work?
There's really not, which is why, you know, greenwashing is a bit of a problem. You know, there are some positives to it, and hear me out here before you start, you know, groaning. That big companies, you know, care enough about environmental issues and about being sustainable enough that they, you know, will do something, you know, kind of shady for like greenwashing, or, you know, just that that the market has moved and the consumers have moved to caring about this stuff is a good sign, in my opinion. And, you know, the big dollars can help educate the public about how, you know, buying sustainable things can help. Really helps me as a business and as an entrepreneur, because we're a small company with barely any money. We don't have the resources to educate the customer, you know, the mass audience about why this is important. And the sustainable and environmental movement is bigger than just Pistol Lake. You know, it matters for the future of our company and the future generations of people. So even though there's some negativity around greenwashing, that dollars are being spent educating consumers, I see as a net positive. But let's get back to the greenwashing thing. It's kind of one of those things where, you know, the market has moved faster than the legislation, which, you know, it happens in tech all the time. It's happening in kind of sustainability right now. You know, there are certifications that you can get for being organic or for, you know, using recycled materials. And from what I've seen, customers aren't educated enough to know to look for that or to know to really care. So I guess my advice to answer your question would be, you know, become an educated consumer, figure out what terms can be kind of like flipped on their head to kind of, you know, kind of tout something that they maybe really aren't. You know, use tools like, you know, obviously Google and Reddit has a lot of really good environmental tools. Male fashion advice on Reddit has a lot of good stuff about, you know, which companies actually practice what they preach and which ones are kind of, you know, playing up what they do when maybe what they're doing is a little bit lesser. And, you know, at some point there'll be a Google or, you know, whatever the main resource is for checking on companies, you know, that their claims are actually what they are. But the market seems to be moving a little bit faster than that right now.
I know the FTC steps in somewhere along the line because, I mean, we Larkin Berry, so we do, you know, totally sustainable diamonds and gemstones. Everything's cultured, lab created, and, you know, we've had people that we suspect, you know, have interests in kind of continuing to prop up the diamond companies and that way of doing things, that, like, alerting the FTC to us. Like, we've never hid, and as you guys don't either. Not only are we not hiding the fact that everything is made in labs, but that's, I mean, half of what we're doing is educating people on the benefits of the sustainable way of making gemstones. And so on the consumer end, you know, I'm sure you would agree that it's not that people that just buy fast fashion or buy whatever from major department stores, it's not that they don't care about the environment or anything. They might just be unaware.
Yeah. That's totally.
But if you had to tell, like, what do you think are the most effective, you know, sort of bullet points and trying to explain the benefits of sustainable fashion to people?
I mean, I hate to say it, but telling some, like, kind of, you know, dark stories of things that have happened, you know, just as recently as 10 years ago, you know, with the factory collapse that killed over 1,000 people. That kind of, if somebody's going to care, the learning information about that is going to open their eyes a little bit about, you know, the choices that they make with their wallet sometimes have consequences half a world away. I think you nailed it on the head. Like, it's not that people are, you know, buy a t-shirt from Walmart and they're just giving a middle finger to the earth. They're just like, I need a shirt. I like this shirt.
Right.
This one fits within the budget that I had set aside to buy a shirt. Done deal. And so I think it's an education piece across the board, and which is kind of why it's the only reason why, you know, to kind of jump a topic back, why I think that, you know, there are some benefits from, that come out of big companies, spending their dollars educating the consumer. Because little startups like us, if it was up to us, we just don't have the resources and budget, and the customer just may be blissfully unaware.
Yeah. I mean, does it bother you that people don't care?
It doesn't bother me. I wish they would, but I can't get on anyone's case, or have it bother me that somebody is ignorant about a topic. And I don't mean ignorant in an insult way in any sense. They just, if you aren't aware, you can't care. And if the world hasn't spread education enough for the consumer or an individual to care, it's that they're not going to just start Googling around on these things on their own. The information has to spread in some way, which is why I see the world is completely different as far as it goes with sustainable fashion since 2011 when Pistol Lake started. Giant companies are jumping on this. Lots of companies are, replacing their entire lines with organic fabrics instead of regular fabrics, or with all recycled, reclaimed stuff, or even dead stock stuff. And I didn't think that I would see that happen so quickly. Just in the course of 9 years, it's night and day. So that's promising to me. And even, I'll talk to random people. I talk about my company all the time. It's my job. And people that you wouldn't think from all walks of life have some opinion about sustainable fashion. And that's heartwarming to me as well.
I'm sure on some level you would like to see, as we all sort of would in this realm of fashion and luxury and any kind of manufacturing, the more companies, regardless of what industry they're in, that got on board with making things sustainably, the more of a big step that would be to preserve the planet for the future. Do you foresee a realistic future where most companies are significantly more than right now are getting on the sustainable bandwagon? Is that the way you see things heading?
I wish I could say yes. I think that there'll always be a customer that really all they care about is the bottom line, is buying a product that is budget friendly, and without getting too into the nitty gritty of politics or economies and stuff. There's a lot of poverty, and not everybody has the way the world is right now. You have to have a decent amount of expendable income to be able to monetarily care about the environment, and without some kind of government intervention or some kind of change in the way that money is distributed, I don't really foresee that changing completely. I think that the movement is growing, and that makes me really happy, and it gives me kind of hope for the future. But I don't think that it'll ever be. I hate to be a pessimist, but I don't think it'll ever be the majority of customers that care about this stuff. I think it'll always be a growing niche.
Well, if it takes intervention from governing bodies to force it even more, to force things even more sustainable in a big way, it just makes you wish we had an idea, we could snap our fingers and have an idea to kind of get everyone on board.
Yeah.
What change? I guess I've sort of already asked, but I don't know what'll change people's minds.
Unfortunately, more catastrophes. As global warming becomes more evident, I think that'll force a lot of people's eyes open, and it may be too late in a lot of ways, but I think that it will. We're a very resourceful species, and there's already some good tech going on about trying to recapture some carbon. There's some promising things about cleaning up the giant plastic patch in the Pacific. Not all the news is bad news, but to your point, I do think that it'll take some form of big government intervention, which some people might not see as a good thing, to really stem the tide. But I think it'll take consumers, changing behavior en masse.
Is it possible, or would it be possible in the future to take waste from places like the patch of trash in the Pacific and make that into clothes again?
Not
or
with
whatever?
the current technology that we have. Clothing is, you want it to be uniform. And I didn't even mean to make a pun there, but there I did. You don't want one section of it to be softer than the other, weaker than the other. And, if the trash, one of the big problems about, plastic going out to sea is that it pretty quickly turns into microplastics. And they take, thousands, millions of years to completely go away. But if you were to take that with the current technology we have, and technology is moving really quickly, it wouldn't really make a durable product. You would have sections of it, since it had been out to sea for so long and it had kind of, weathered away and kind of turned into a sludge, it wouldn't make for a great t-shirt. But I know there's a couple companies in North Carolina that are kind of trying to work on, ways for plastic water bottles that aren't an A grade to be turned into usable fabrics and other products. So the future seems to be bright there.
Well, besides just being, planet positive in general and starting a company that manufactures sustainably, are there, sort of like with how Tesla's, I don't know if they still do this, but, I remember hearing one of the great things about that car, for instance, is that I think if you got one, right, you get a certain tax benefit or something for being zero carbon emissions. Like when a company starts up now that's totally sustainable, are there government incentives that sort of reward them for that?
If there are, please email me. I would love to know about them.
I would email you, right? Yeah. I think that would be great, right? You would think, there should be incentive.
And maybe even there could be, incentives on, some kind of rebates whenever you do things with your clothing, that are sustainable. Our power company, gives us rebates for weatherproofing our homes or for switching.
They do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is probably, a few years back, but, if you went from, the traditional light bulb into like an LED or a more, less, a light bulb that used less energy, they would give you refunds and rebates on stuff like that. And when I lived in Boston, they gave us a rebate on upgrading our air conditioner to something that had a higher efficiency. So, that's an instance where, perhaps the government could offer tax breaks, incentives, write-offs for you making more sustainable jewelry or clothing choices. Who knows?
Why should people shop with Pistol Lake if you had to kind of encapsulate it?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think it's the most comfortable, versatile product that you can buy for yourself, and our customer service is great. It's not going to deteriorate on you in 6 months or even a year, and if for some reason it does, we'll give you a new one. We treat our customers and our entire staff ethically. Everybody has a safe place to work. Everybody's health is taken care of, and that's. Customers definitely start caring about the things that we stand for as a company, maybe after their second purchase. But I think the first purchase is just really this is the most versatile, comfortable, piece of clothing that you can buy for yourself. And I legit believe that. I was a customer and, backer of the company long before I ever thought in a million years that I would work there, let alone run the thing. It was my favorite clothing brand.
Oh, great.
I think it's the Men's Warehouse or something, or maybe it's one of a hair cream or something. But I'm not only a
customer, I'm also a client.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good enough for all of us to wear. So
yeah, I think that's like spray on hair or whatever.
Yeah, I gotta get some of that.
Maybe you guys could do that sustainably.
Yeah, that's our next big thing: spray on hair.
Now I can't think of the Men's Warehouse one. It's something like it'll look good on you or whatever. Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll get that in the comments.
Yeah.
They'll tell us we're idiots for not knowing this really well-known phrase.
Well, this has been great. I think I wouldn't worry about the nerding out at any point that we might have done so. I think people on Reddit will appreciate that.
Yeah. Those are my dudes.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Ryan. Yeah,
my pleasure.
So everyone check out Pistol Lake, and what's the website address?
PistolLake.com.
you have it. Thanks so much for joining us, and we hope you've enjoyed this series. I know I loved talking to Ryan. I feel I learned so much, and I hope you did too. And don't get things twisted, just in case. There's so much hope for brands to become sustainable in all areas of manufacturing, and for more people to learn about and desire this change as well. And of course, one benefit cultured diamonds and stones have is that Lark & Berry are able to implement the fairest prices in luxury, and certainly versus mined diamonds jewelry. That's because with cultured, there's no need to ever mine again. It's just better for the planet to go cultured, and you're getting the very same diamonds and stones when you do, or even better. As Claire Hoppy from LA Relax told us in the first episode of this series, we just need more material manufacturers, for one, to adopt sustainable methods, and then the prices can come down in sustainable fashion as well. But in the meantime, please research sustainable fashion brands. While it might be true that some clothes from a brand like Pistol Lake are a bit more expensive than what you'd find at fast fashion retailers, the extra money, if you have it, goes towards things like buying the most environmentally responsible clothes for Earth. It goes towards supporting fair wages for employees at a small company. It goes towards doing something right for our planet. So check out Pistol Lake's online store. That's PISTOLLAKE, all one word. And follow them on Instagram at Pistol Lake. Lark & Berry wants everyone to learn more about cultured diamonds, the more environmentally responsible option in diamonds. We want everyone to know that you have a choice now in buying luxury jewelry, and that there is only one choice that's truly sustainable for the future, and that's cultured jewelry, whether it's diamonds, emeralds, or sapphires. Subscribe to the Diamond Disruptor on your chosen platform for podcasts, and please rate and review us. Go to larkandberry.com to shop. And follow Lark & Berry on social media at Lark & Berry.